Hey, we didn't talk about Alabama at all up until this point in the show. There's 2 minutes left in this game. They are up by 18 points on Maryland. It's safe to say the Crimson Tide will be advancing to take on San Diego State. Look, I've watched every game of this tournament thus far. Alabama is so far and away clearly the best team in the country to me right now. And I think we knew that, but I think the way the last month of their season went had people rightfully concerned about whether or not they would play to their ceiling in this tournament. Through 2 rounds, it certainly feels like they're trending right in that direction. And I mean, we've already seen 2 1 seeds go down. Houston was down 10 points at half today. I would not be surprised at all if Alabama just runs the table here comfortably to a national championship. Laval, is that a crazy hypothesis that I have right now? Are they that far ahead from the rest of the field in your eyes?
That's not crazy because of their talent. I mean, and then when things happen, you kind of pay attention to this, right, Jeff, is when things happen. Like when Houston stretches out a lead with the 2 guards out of the game, you gotta take note of that. When Alabama beats you and Brandon Miller doesn't score, you have to take note of that because he's not gonna have too many days where he doesn't score. He's got 19 tonight. And then Quinterly's been playing like, the good Javon Quinterly. Their defensively is where they are way better than, I think people talk about it. But, what they've done to Maryland tonight defensively, and they haven't been great on offense. They've just found a way. They've gotten themselves to the foul line. They're talent. I think they are the best overall team. Now, again, you got to play the game. You got to win the games, and they've kind of figured out how to get those games done. The ones where they've struggled has been the extremely physical, defensive teams, which they'll run into against San Diego State here next. But they're going to guard too.
Hey, Val, this sums up Alabama, right? All right.
Yeah.
Pringle had 19 and 15 last game. He's played 2 minutes tonight.
Today's episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can get a little extra sweat during March Madness and win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's games. In pick'em, all you do is predict whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether that's points, rebounds, whatever. For example, if you're like me and you think Zach Edey is going to go nuts in this tournament, pick higher on his points projection, add up to 4 more picks, and if you hit them all, you can win 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured it out. So go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, FIELD, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. Now is the time to get in on the madness. So remember, underdogfantasy.com, promo code FIELD.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Like,
that's a luxury.
That's how much I was talking to Nate earlier today. I actually talked to him this morning. And I was just like, the one thing you have that nobody else has is just like, if somebody isn't playing well, and Pringle picked up 2 quick fouls, they're not going to play. Like, how important that is, because you didn't have that last year at Butler, right? You had no dudes. You were hurt, banged up, and a few years ago you had it. You had some depth and were able to win a lot of games because you could utilize that depth. It's so important to me. Like, everybody says you only need 7 or 8 guys. Yeah, you only need 7 or 8. It's great to have 10 who can play.
Yeah. And you get to the tournament, you have some outliers, like somebody like, what was it? He's like averaging 6 points a game, and all of a sudden you got 28. You have those outliers. We had Spike Albrecht at Michigan, like somebody just out of nowhere, they shows up. But they got to be capable. You're right, Jeff. You got to have enough depth and know that the guys are capable. Even if they don't get to do it all the time, they have it in them. Alabama has that. But I think the other side is they're going to run to San Diego State. Well, Alabama they defend too now. So San Diego State, you got to figure out how you're going to do it on both.
They're so athletic. They're so damn athletic. That's the one thing. Their size up front and their athleticism up front.
I would say they're the favorite. Like, they're the favorite, at this point in time.
Them in Houston. I still think it's Alabama and Houston. Now that Marcus Sasser showed me that he is close to 100% again.
Down 10 at half to Auburn, though?
Yep. I'm still listen.
Ugh, I'd be selling
I'm still
that
taking
shot.
them. They've been to the tournament. They went deep into the tournament last year. They've got a more veteran coach. Like Nate's won some games in the tournament, but he's not Kelvin.
Greg,
Sure.
Auburn shot 16% in the second half. Greg, don't.
Listen. I'm not selling any.
As coaches always say, they don't pass out trophies at halftime.
I'm not selling any Houston stock relative to like big picture. Like Kelvin Sampson, of course, love the guy. I think he's arguably the best coach in college basketball right now. Love the roster in general. But you're telling me if we actually get to an Alabama-Houston game, roll the ball out on the court, dudes versus dudes, there's not a huge caliber difference between who Alabama's got versus who Houston has, even if they're fully healthy?
No, we saw it. Houston beat them by 6. It's a 2-possession game.
Right.
And I'm taking the revenge of that.
Now,
if I can get Alabama.
But it's a toss-up. But it's a toss-up.
It's a that game can swing either way.
Okay. Like, what's the spread on that game? What's the spread of that game, Greg?
Well, I would say this: 6-point win. Brandon Miller was 0 for 8 from the floor. That ain't happening.
The game's also going to be in Houston if it happens.
The first one was in Houston when it happened.
Marcus Sasser also had 9 points. You think that's going to happen again?
I think there's a better chance that happens than Brandon Miller. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. I think they got more dudes. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong.